watching the virtual edition of Scoop Manchester. I'm Liz Brown Swanson, and joining me is my co-host, the publisher of the Manchester Cricket, and also my cousin, Erika Brown. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Doing great, Liz. How are you?
Life is good and getting better now that summer's here. We're in June, and you can feel it in the air, right? I mean, tell us about life in Manchester as we get ready for summer there, but also still navigating COVID-19.
Yeah, well, it's funny what a difference a week makes. Last weekend we had Memorial Day, and the weather was a little gloomy, really foggy, a little cool, and it was great. We had Memorial Day; it was fantastic. But then this past weekend, it was like boom, summer. The buoys, beautiful weather. Everyone was out. It felt like summer.
Except for we can't sit on Singing Beach yet, right?
No sitting on Singing Beach yet. You can sit in Singing Beach as long as you're walking.
But let's just talk a little bit more about what's making headlines in the cricket and just sort of what you've been focused on.
Well, we had Memorial Day, as I just mentioned, and you know, Liz, Memorial Day in Manchester is a really big deal. It really is. I think it's the largest, most comprehensive ceremony in Cape Ann. No other community had an in-person ceremony, and in fact, what they did was 1623 planned well ahead and asked all the American Legion halls in each of the towns to pre-tape a ceremony, and they aired that on Monday as their Memorial Day. Manchester was the only town that didn't do that. We had an in-person ceremony, and it was fantastic. It was quiet, it was intimate, it was restrained, but it's still, a lot of people showed up. Everyone was safe. They all, distanced, safe distanced. People were watching them from their porches on the Inner Harbor over the American Legion Hall behind Town Hall. It was really beautiful, actually. It's really nice.
Well, especially now in our times right now that are so trying, being able to connect in a patriotic way must have been extra special. And I'm so glad to hear that, of course, Manchester always on the forefront and was able to have that in person again. That was awesome. So I know that
it felt good.
Yeah, much needed. And like we said when we started the show, we're feeling good about summer happening in town, even if it's not completely like summer as we know it. So just give me a scene setter more, since I'm looking forward to flying back, by the way, July 1st. So I'll be back for the summer and through the fall, and we'll be together doing these shows. But a little scene setter, like, as things are opening up through phase 2 or stage 2 in town, businesses are getting ready, I think, including my own with our 4 beach gifts and goodies, just to get ready to open up. So tell me what's going on with that, the businesses and all that.
People are definitely downtown now. You feel it more. People are more comfortable sort of how to be downtown and not be sort of feeling as if, am I doing this appropriately? So more people are downtown. They're more comfortable downtown. Restaurants are starting to be a little busier. And one thing that's interesting is that the restaurants that actually made strides and leaned in when it was hard to do takeout and learned how to do it, now they're almost reaping the benefits of that. So all that investment that they've made over the last 6 weeks, it may have been hard for 6 weeks and they may have gone on faith, but now they're starting to see that they've trained the community to, oh, they're open, I'm going to go in and get some takeout. So they're doing a good takeout business, which is really nice to see. The rest of the retailers, they're starting to put out signs that show, listen, we're coming soon, we're coming soon. Mm-hmm. And that feels fantastic, actually. It feels good. Feels like we're going to kind of feel like it won't be the same summer, but it'll feel like it's trying to be a form of the same summer, if that makes sense.
Yes. And of course, the sign that we are in the season, it's boating time, and we are going to have join us in just a few minutes, the Harbormaster, Bion Pike, who has been with our town now for 9 years. And before we bring him in, just a little bit of a scene setter for residents that might not even be familiar with him, even though I know he's been around town for a while and doing a lot for the community with the waterfront. What could you tell us about him? I know you cover him all the time in the paper.
We cover him a lot. I mean, and especially when I first took over, we were in the middle of what was called the eelgrass controversy. And it was a massive controversy about boats that wanted to sort of more or anchor, really, that was the problem. Very popular thing, had been going on for generations for some of these people. The reason I brought it up is it was a really, really kind of controversial issue. And I watched Bion. He had weekly almost public forums where people could just get it out. and he never stopped anybody from speaking. He just had rules. You speak once and you have your turn, and you have to wait until everybody else spoke before you could speak again, which I think was really great. I just watched how he handled it. He did a great job. And then, you know, there's a bunch of other things he's accomplished. I mean, Morse Pier, the rebuilding of Morse Pier in Masconomo Park, the wall at Masconomo Park, the docks, the loading town, launch behind Town Hall, Reed Park, and those incredible docks he built himself, by the way. He's a true Mainer. And then this week in the paper, we had this controversy type of thing over at Tux Point because it's associated with half of the mooring holders in Manchester, which is about 300 people. And suddenly they had to deal with the fact, we all learned last week that the actual dinghy dock, the ramp to get to the dinghy dock was condemned because of weather. And when Bion went to actually get it rebuilt, he found a surprise. He'd only been here on the job since 2012. Well, the town had not applied for a permit to rebuild, a proper rebuilding permit at any dock, as a matter of fact, since 1896.
So he's been navigating a lot on the waterfront in our town. And so we're going to now invite him on. And so it's great to have joining us here on Scoop Manchester, the Harbormaster Bion Pike. Thank you for being here. You are the ambassador to our town's waterfront. And I know you're busy right now with summer approaching. So how is it going?
Well, so far so good. My assistants are out putting finishing touches on docks and tide gauges and Harbormaster boats, making sure that when we're ready to go with our boating season, everything will be in place.
Summer of 2020 with COVID situation, what do you need residents and boaters to know right now?
The first thing folks should know is that the town docks are open for pickup and drop off only for residents. We aren't accepting any transient boaters from out of town, unfortunately. There's really not much for them to do anyway when they get here. The launch ramp is open. You can launch your boat and go out and use it, which is important. With so little to do, to be able to get out on your boat is a wonderful thing.
Bring us up to speed on what's happening at Tux Point in terms of being able now to access the dinghy docks. There's a situation developing there.
Right, so the access deck that allowed folks to step off the rotunda down onto the floats has been condemned. The underpinnings, after many decades, has given up and is beyond repair and wouldn't hold the new ramp that needs to be installed for the facility to be in compliance. So we're looking at a major repair. Permitting takes 9 months to a year, and then construction. So we're a ways out. And in the interim, we have an outhaul, which is a traditional way of getting out to a boat from shore in Maine, where I live. And that's what we have for our folks for this season. Hopefully it'll work out.
How does it work? I think Erika might be able to give us a play-by-play.
Sure.
She went through this process to get onto the dock.
I actually used it. I had the opportunity, Bion, to use it after you and I spoke last week for the article. And it's like Liz, it's like a it's like a clothesline.
Okay.
So it's got a pulley on one end at the actual dinghy dock, and then it's hooked to an anchor that's on shore with one single dinghy that is meant to ferry you out and about. And it's self-propelled. You pull yourself out there. And then, to be polite though, it's very clear you should pull it back for the next person who needs it.
I got it. But when you say there's a lot of boaters that will be having to use this though, right? Isn't there about 300 boats on that side over there?
There are probably about 100 dinghies there over the course of the summer.
Okay.
We'll have opportunities for folks who want to keep their dinghies at other town docks to do that, motorized folks especially.
Okay.
It's not a perfect solution. The perfect solution is to have a nice ramp that we can walk down.
Mm-hmm.
We don't.
So stay tuned for that.
Yes.
Well, let's point out the most colorful part of the story is that the last time that the town applied for a permit for Tux Point was when, Bion?
1896.
Well,
Yes.
you're a youngin'. You've been only with the town now, what, 9 years as Harbormaster? And I know
Yes.
when you came on board, there was a lot happening. There was controversies in the harbor department, et cetera. But you pledged to the town that you were going to give them a well-managed waterfront. Do you think you've been able to do that? And just sort of what do you want to point to in terms of how you've been able to manage it?
Mm. So I do like to point out, I'm not the person who gets to decide whether I'm doing a good job or not, but I feel very fortunate as the harbor master here. It's the community that really, really cares about its harbor. And many harbor masters don't have the great good fortune that I do. A lot has been accomplished here because the residents and boaters of this town understand what they have and are willing to take the steps to meet the needs of the waterfront, whether it's a crane for the fishermen, rebuilding the wall at Masconomo so the park doesn't fall into the harbor. That would be sad. We built a brand new transient facility at Reed Park, which is a benefit to boaters and to businesses. The new launch ramp behind Town Hall. I know that was a challenging project, but the old one was really the black hole of Calcutta. It was horribly dangerous and hard to use. So all these things are just because of the folks of Manchester.
Are you excited for the summer? Are you ready?
Well, we always try to be ready. Is never-ending list of things that do and can go wrong. So we try to plan for that. Being a harbor master is work. We don't ride around on the boat with our families and recreate and swim and fish and do those things. We go out to make sure that all of those folks doing those recreational things get home safely to the ones who love them.
Are you expecting a busy season considering the pandemic, or what do you think, how is it going to play out?
Late start. Most of the boat yards are a month to a month and a half behind in launching boats and getting the season started for their customers. I have been contacted by several boaters who aren't launching this year for financial and health reasons. And I've even had some folks that I've offered moorings to turn them down because they've had to sell their boat. It's going to be a financial impact as well as a health impact. And unfortunately, it means that it'll probably be a little bit slower.
Right.
You've been very careful, though, to say that nobody's going to lose their mooring. I remember very carefully you've gone out of your way and done you've been very proactive in that area.
I just thought it was important that our boaters recognize that in this really difficult time for everybody, that their ability to get out and participate and do this activity won't be a loss to them because of one bad season. We'll make sure that folks will have a spot next year when everyone's healthy and doing better.
Right. So great that you were able to join us, and I look forward to seeing you on the water when I'm back in town. I'll have to take my brother-in-law up on getting out on his boat to get out there, and to do it safely.
Well, make sure you wave.
Okay, we'll give you the wave.
It's awesome. Thanks, Bion.
There's a lot more to come on Scoop Manchester. When we return, the town's Parks and Recreation Department Director will join us. Stay with us. Welcome back to Scoop Manchester. It's so great to have with us Manchester by the Seas Parks and Recreation Director Cheryl Marshall. How are you today, Cheryl?
I'm doing great, thank you. This is the start of Town Hall opening. Go ahead.
Busy time, and everyone's ready for summer. We're all excited to say hello summer and goodbye COVID-19 shutdown. So things are opening up in town, right? So give us a little update on where we are let's start with Singing Beach.
Yeah. Well, Singing Beach, right, is the most popular, but we started with parks opening, allowing people to walk in the parks, but not on the beach. So then that slowly rolled into, okay, now we can let residents walk on the beach. So that's where we're at now. There's no parking lot, there's no canteen, there's no bathhouse open, but residents are allowed to walk and run on the beach, which I felt like was a good start, a good way to get things started. So that's just been a week.
So Cheryl, just tell us a little bit more about how are you monitoring the situation at Singing Beach right now in terms of people coming on the beach?
So we have staff down there starting at 9 a.m. So we have a staff person who is counting the people coming on the beach and counting the people going off the beach, where it's just transitory right now. And then a police officer there who's helping make sure that they are residents. So we're keeping track of those numbers, as well as having a manager who's watching over the top and 2 staff people on the beach to make sure people are actually distancing from others. So we're keeping track, keeping the stats on all that, on those numbers, and more just feeling it out to see how it goes.
I know we were saying earlier, you know, the situation changes daily. The Board of Selectmen meets weekly to make these decisions. And of course, all the residents, we all want to see Singing Beach open this summer so we can swim and enjoy it completely. What do you want to let residents know about when a decision like that might be made?
So I feel like similar to the governor, we're trying to take 2 to 3 weeks between phases. Although so we're open just Monday through Friday right now, and it's only been a week, and I'm already pushing tonight for kind of a 2.5 that will be open all 7 days. I see no reason why we can't follow the same protocol on the weekends. And then I think once we do that for maybe 2 weeks, then we can look to open it up also for the sunbathing for the residents as well. And then kind of each baby steps as we go along.
Of course, we're talking about Singing Beach, but we have other places to enjoy the water, whether we're at White's Beach or Black or Tux. What's the deal with those spots?
So all beaches are open just for kind of that transitory use right now. And there is some parking open at Tux because there's also moorings and kayaks and all that, but there's no parking at White and Black Beach right now either. Just like Singing, yeah.
What about, we're going to move on to all the other fun stuff that happens in town that we look forward to in the summer, like playground for the kids. What's going on with that?
So playground, we are still trying our best to hold. It's probably going to look very different. I think a lot of people's memories of playground is 150 kids in the basement of the school, so it's not going to look like that. It has changed over the years, yeah. And this is really one more thing that's really going to push us to make some more changes. But actually, I just got off a phone call with the State Department of Health, and it looks like we will be able to figure something out to have something fun for the kids. It probably will not look like a child care program, but it will be something fun for the kids that they can do this summer.
Honestly,
you know,
anything you do, I think the community will greet in such a positive way, because they're just so girded for doing nothing. So if you do anything, I think they'll love it.
Right.
Yeah.
Such a rite of passage. I'm grateful that my kids, even though I live bi-coastally between California and my hometown of Manchester, all my boys went through playground, and it's just like, such a special time for all these kids, and that'll be great. Other festivities and fun, 4th of July, all these kinds of things you oversee. What do you want to share with residents about sort of the celebrations we look forward to?
I don't want people to give up on celebrations, because there's still plenty to celebrate. And like people keep reminding me, even if the 4th of July festivities aren't being held the same way they traditionally are, we will still have a 4th of July. So what we're going to do instead of a parade is we're going to have a house decorating contest, which, because I was coming on this, so that we told people they could sign up June 1st to July 1st, and today is June 1st. I was like, oh, let me see if we got our first registration yet. And we actually have 3 already. So
nice.
Excited. Yeah. So I do think that people are going to get into it and get excited about it. And I think that everybody wants to celebrate the 4th of July, and it's just going to look different. Everything looks different, but we're going to do our best to still make it special.
And what might be music to the ears of our community, as we were talking before, like, don't give up on summer concerts. They may happen as well this summer, right?
We're really hoping so obviously our summer concerts are usually funded completely by sponsorships. So our sponsorships are down. But we've been talking to the bands, and we are going to look to start in July, like July 7th, to maybe do an abbreviated concert series. And some of the bands will, instead of bringing their, 7-piece band, they'll bring 2 people and charge less. And I just think it really is important to try to get the community out and still remind everybody it's a great community, and we have a great sense of community here. And hopefully people can distance and do the concerts.
any other programs or information you want to share with the residents right now? I mean, I know there's so many programs that you offer through your department.
Right. We won't offer as many summer programs this year as before. So we're just really trying to concentrate on getting a couple up and going. So again, summer's going to look different, but we are 100% determined to have some fun things out there for the kids. And then we hope to also balance it with the concerts and the beach for the families as well. Yeah.
Well, Singing Beach is one of the best beaches in the world. I'd say it is the best, but we're biased. And I hope
even you way over there, you think so still, huh?
I'm a local, so I grew up there, and I was a lifeguard.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Right.
So now
we'll be back soon.
Yes. I'm looking forward. I have all the faith that somehow we're going to get on that beach with the beach chair before, Labor Day.
Yeah. Well, so my goal, I do have my own little goals, but it's really up to the selectmen. But I'm hoping
you can share your goals with us if you want.
So I'm thinking July 15th, we'll be able to sit on the beach. I mean, sorry, June 15th.
Oh, wow.
So I'm hoping just a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Hey, well, we're going to have you back on the show in a few weeks. I hope that
Okay.
comes true.
Like,
me too.
Yes.
Yeah. Praying more like, exactly.
All right. It was so great, Erika, having Cheryl to update us on town activities in the summer. And of course, a big activity that's happening around now is graduation time in June, of course. What's going on with Manchester's graduation situation?
Well, graduation is supposed to be on Friday, June 5th, so right now. So what the town has decided to do, or the school district has decided to do, is on the day that is the graduation, they're going to assemble. It's not like they're going to do nothing, but what they're going to do is have a vehicle parade to essentially give a nod to the fact that graduation was supposed to be having this day, and give the community a hook to hang their hat on for the actual day. Now, for the actual day of graduation, they're still holding out hope that they're going to have it, and they're targeting, I believe it's July 15th, to actually have a ceremony. An in-person ceremony is what they're looking to do. They're hoping to do it. So there's talk of maybe having the format of a picnic or something that doesn't try to force the issue of saying, oh, it's got to feel like a graduation, but feels like it's an event that can involve families properly clustered together. And they're really putting out hope that by then we'll really understand the rules of engagement as it relates to how to do public events.
Mm-hmm. We always ask you on the show your favorite story of recent and your favorite photo. So go at it.
Okay, well, in terms of my favorite story, I have to say the Tux Point story is something that's going to be ongoing. And I just love it. And the reason I love it is because of this. Okay, think about it.
You better be careful.
Tux Point has been renovated. Oh, Tux Point has been renovated stem to stern. Just in recent memory, we had the blizzard of 1978. It was like completely destroyed and they rebuilt it. We have pictures of the elderly brethren picnic, and all the men are at Tux Point, and in the background, they're rebuilding the rotunda. So I just love the fact that the town hasn't applied for a permit since 1896. But the truth is, and I asked Bion about this, I asked him, how common do you think it is in Cape Ann that's the way? Nobody thought to like apply with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers when they needed to just do some work on their docks. And he said, absolutely, there are probably a lot of docks in Cape Ann that
aren't in compliance.
Yeah.
So that's your favorite story. I was going to pick your favorite story as being the fact that you put a couple bookstore owners in there now, because you're a reader. And
oh yeah,
the best books you can read this summer, right? So people can find out. You have given out a great book list from Manchester by the Book and the Bookshop in Beverly Farms.
That's right. Hannah Harlow from the Bookshop in Beverly Farms. She's the brand new owner of that 50-year-old, adored independent bookstore. And then, of course, Mark Stoll and Manchester by the Book, which will be celebrating 20 years this summer. Mm-hmm. That's their anniversary. So each one of them gave a great list of their 5 best summer reads and their recommendations. We did the same thing last summer, and it was great to do it again.
Well, everybody's reading more because of COVID-19, which is a good outcome. And also, I was excited to read that I see that they'll be doing curbside pickup for library books at the town library. So more more on.
Yeah, they started that this past weekend, and I talked today to the library, and they've already had 100 people sort of signing up for it, so it's popular.
All right, so how about your favorite photo?
Okay, but my favorite photo has to do with this. We have a feature in the paper, and I don't know if you read it, it's called That Was Then. And it's like a fun throwback picture from our archives, because it actually helps the paper, because we have images in our archive of negatives, these beautiful negatives, and we're not sure who it is or what it is. And so what we do is we run it, and then we investigate what it is, and we share with people what it ended up being. So a couple weeks ago, we had a picture of what we thought was the dedication of the Brook Street tennis courts, and it had 3 people in it. One, a woman in Bermuda shorts that looked like she came out of the Preppy Handbook, was awesome. The woman in the middle was like in a cardigan, and it's just such a great picture of the time. That's what we loved about it. And then the third person was a man who you couldn't see his face really, but we kept on calling the man with the pants, because he had on plaid pants that were so 1970s, right?
I read the Preppy Handbook. I said they had to be wearing Madras, but it sounds like all of them might have had on Madras. No.
Yeah, so we thought it was like from the late 70s and Brook Street with the public courts, and we thought it was maybe some tournament, right? Well, we were wrong across the board. That was what made it my favorite picture. Okay, well, first of all, it was taken in 1966, so it was a lot older than we thought. Number 2, it was taken at the Summer Street tennis courts, which we all forget about because they turned it into the skateboard park. You know, the skateboard park when nobody ever used it as a skateboard park, and now it's done. So anyway, they closed it as a tennis court a long time ago, and lo and behold, it was for the dedication of that tennis court. Diane Coons DeMille, actually, everyone always forgets about the DeMille, but it's, the Coons boys, their mother, 91 years old now, she's still alive. She called in herself. She was the first female president of the Manchester Athletic Association. Isn't that great? So the woman in the middle with the cardigan, she was Marjorie Midge Gladman Buck, Mrs. Buck. Do you remember the Buck kids? Lindsay and David. Anyway, do you know that she was a 34-time U.S. national tennis champion? She was a tennis phenom. And by the way, the guy in the picture, the guy with the pants, that's none other than Bud Collins from the Globe, who was nationally, he was the broadcaster, sportscaster for tennis for 30 years. I mean, he was the one who oversaw U.S. Open, Australian Open, Wimbledon. I mean, he was the face, because it was Midge Buck. She got him to come down for the dedication of our public courts. That was my favorite picture of the week.
Okay. Well, we're going to start to wrap it up here. It's been a fun show. I look forward to catching my flight to Manchester by the sea and having myself in town by July 1st. But I'll check back in with you. Especially, I want to know when I can get a beach chair back on. We all want to know when we can get a beach chair.
I was just going to say, I can't wait to see you in a beach chair.
But not in a bathing suit. All right, Erika Brown with the Manchester Cricket. Don't forget to go on thecricket.com as well as subscribe. You guys, subscriptions are good, right?
Oh yeah. Every week, up.
And the cricket team is good. I want to wrap up by saying, checking in to make sure the cricket team is doing well.
They're doing good.
Yeah, well, thank you for all you're doing for the community. And that's going to be a wrap here on Scoop Manchester. Thanks for watching. Be safe out there, and I can't wait to see you on Singin' Beach. Bye-bye.